They wheeled me into the nursing home like I was some forgotten old suitcase. My own son, my only child, didn't even look back. But what he didn't know was this: every wall in that building, every room, every paycheck of every staff member belonged to me. And soon, he would learn the truth in the most unexpected way. My name is Margaret Hayes, 78 years old. I spent all my life building a business empire brick by brick. Hotels, rental homes, assisted living centers, you name it. But I kept one thing hidden from the world. I never told my son, Daniel, about my real wealth. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I wanted him to learn kindness before inheritance. Instead, he learned greed. "Mom, you need proper care," he said coldly, avoiding eye contact. His wife, Jenna, stood behind him, rolling her eyes as if she couldn't wait to get rid of me. "But Daniel, I'm fine at home," I whispered. "No, Mom. This is best for everyone." I signed the papers. Just like that. My son, my baby boy, handed me over to strangers like I was a burden. As the wheelchair rolled forward, every mile felt like a knife twisting in my chest. The nurse at the front desk smiled softly, unaware of the storm inside me. "Welcome to Willow Gardens, ma'am." If only she knew. I owned Willow Gardens. I had bought it 20 years ago under a trust no one knew about. Not even Daniel. The moment I entered, 3 senior staff members exchanged shocked glances. Mrs. Hayes, the head nurse, nearly dropped her clipboard. I put a finger on my lips. "No one tells my son anything. Understand?" They nodded quickly. It wasn't fear. It was respect. They knew exactly who signed their paychecks. And now they understood the strange game I wanted to play. They gave me the best room, spacious, warm, with a view of the garden I personally designed. But I didn't come here to rest. I came here to see the truth. My son thought I was weak, helpless, confused. He forgot who raised him. He forgot the woman who worked 3 jobs to give him everything. He forgot the businesswoman who turned a single motel into a chain across the state. So I sat quietly in my room, observing how the staff treated other residents. I saw a lonely man crying because no one visited him. I saw an angry woman with dementia yelling for a daughter who never came. I saw laughter, pain, friendships, and forgotten souls. And I realized something. This place needed a major change. People deserved better than what they were getting. And I had the power, no, the responsibility, to fix it. 2 days later, Daniel finally visited. Not to check on me, but to check on my house. He walked into the nursing home on a video call, bragging to his friend. "Dude, once the house sells, I can finally buy that Tesla. Mom doesn't need it anymore." My heart cracked, but my face stayed calm. When he saw me, he forced a fake smile. "Hi, Mom. You doing okay here?" "Just perfect," I said, hiding everything under an old woman's shaky voice. "Good. Listen, I'll be busy this week. Lots of paperwork. But you're in good hands." He touched my shoulder lightly, not lovingly, but to show the nurses he cared. Then he left. Jenna didn't even come inside. She waited in the car, bored, scrolling on her phone. That night, after lights out, the director of the facility knocked gently on my door. "Ma'am, since you're here, does that mean you're finally ready?" I smiled. "Yes. It's time." He nodded. "We will prepare everything." This wasn't the first time we had this conversation. The moment I stepped into the building 20 years ago, I told them. One day, I might come here not as the owner, but as a resident. And when I do, it means I'm ready to make the biggest change of my life. That night, while everyone slept, files were pulled, meetings were arranged, and plans were set in motion. Daniel had no idea. The next morning, the staff lawyer arrived with a folder. Inside it was a document that would flip the world upside down. The ownership papers of Willow Gardens. Signed. Sealed. Undeniable. It had my name on every line. And soon, my son would see it too. But not yet. First, I wanted him to reveal his real intentions. If he wanted my money, he would show it. If he wanted to abandon me, he would prove it. And then, I would decide what he truly deserved. My son thought he put me away like old furniture. But he didn't know. I owned every inch of the place he abandoned me in. And now it was time to watch his real intentions come to light. For the next few days, I watched quietly. The staff, who respected me deeply, pretended I was just another resident. But whenever they passed my room, they whispered, "Does her son really not know?" No, and she doesn't want him to. Poor lady. She deserves better. Those whispers didn't hurt me. What hurt was remembering the little boy who once ran into my arms crying after scraping his knee, now throwing me away like I was an inconvenience. On the fourth day, my phone buzzed. I rarely used it, but seeing Daniel's name made my heart race. "Mom," he said with a rushed tone, "I'm checking in. Everything okay?" His voice didn't sound worried. It sounded impatient. "Yes, dear. The staff is kind." Good, he said quickly. "Listen. I need the access code to the basement safe at the house. I can't find the documents I need." My breath froze. The safe held nothing money-related. Only my husband's old letters, some photos, and the original deed to the house. Things that had emotional value. "Why do you want those papers?" I asked softly. He hesitated. Then he lied. We need them to finalize tax forms." I knew he was lying. He knew I knew. But he kept pushing. "Mom, just give me the code. Please." I purposely coughed and pretended I couldn't hear well. "I'll talk to you later, dear." And I hung up. For the first time, he didn't call back. Every afternoon, a young nurse named Lily came to check my vitals. But today, she sat on my bed gently. "Mrs. Hayes, can I ask something?" "Of course, darling. Why don't you tell your son the truth? That you own this place?" I smiled sadly. "Because I want to see who he is, without my money." Lily nodded, tears forming. My grandma went through the same thing. Her kids only visited when they needed something. She held my hand tightly. "You're not alone. Not here." Her warmth healed the parts of my heart Daniel kept breaking. That evening, the director called a private meeting. The staff lawyer, head nurse, and operations manager sat around a heavy wooden table. "Mrs. Hayes," the director said, "we reviewed your earlier request." I nodded. "I want to completely restructure Willow Gardens. Better food, more caregivers, more activities, mental health programs. And I will pay for it." The lawyer slid a thick binder toward me. "It's all here. The transformation plan. But before we begin, there's one thing we need. You must sign the renewal of your ownership confirmation." I picked up the pen. My hands shook, not from age, but from the weight of what I was about to do. Signing this would make everything official and irreversible. Daniel would no longer have any claim on this building, or its profits, or its future. It would belong solely to me, and to the residents I loved like family. I signed the papers. A strange peace filled my heart. The next weekend, Daniel unexpectedly showed up. Not with love, not with concern, but with frustration written on his face. "Mom," he said sharply, "why didn't you answer my calls?" "I didn't hear them," I replied calmly. He sighed like a man tired of dealing with a problem. Then he pulled out a stack of documents. "Mom, I need your signature on these. It's urgent." I took the papers slowly. "These look like property transfer documents." He froze. "No, no, Mom, you're confused. They're tax forms." My voice shook, not from fear, but disappointment. "Daniel, are you trying to take my house?" He didn't answer. Silence. The kind that reveals everything. Finally, he said softly, but not kindly, "Mom, you don't need the house anymore. You're here now." There it was. The truth. Ugly. Sharp. Unavoidable. Unknown to Daniel. A security camera recorded everything. The disrespect. The greed. The lies. And the footage was automatically uploaded to the director's office and to my private legal folder. Daniel had no idea what storm he was walking into. That night, I sat by my window, staring at the garden lights. I had two choices. 1. Reveal the truth now. Show Daniel he abandoned the owner of the entire building. ****. Or 2. Let him go deeper into his lies, so that when the truth surfaced, he would face everything he deserved. ****. I chose the second option, because sometimes a lesson must burn before it can heal. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A staff member ran to me, breathless. "Mrs. Hayes, the city inspector is here." Unannounced. "He says someone filed a complaint from your family." My blood went cold. Family? Only one person would do that. Daniel. But why? What was he planning? Was he trying to get the nursing home shut down, so the property value would crash, so he could buy it cheaply? The director looked stunned. "Ma'am, what should we do?" I stood up slowly from my chair, strength returning to my bones. "Let him come," I said. "He's walking into his own trap." Because the inspector didn't know a secret either. I wasn't just the owner. I controlled the entire trust that funded 3 more facilities across the state. Daniel was about to poke the wrong beehive. The city inspector was a sharp-eyed man named Mr. Callahan. He walked in with a clipboard, a camera, and an expression that could cut steel. Behind him, Daniel followed. My son, chest puffed, acting like a hero, protecting the elderly. He didn't even make eye contact with me. "Mrs. Hayes," Mr. Callahan said, "I received a formal complaint about this facility's safety, food quality, and staff behavior. Signed by your family." I kept my voice steady. "My family? Or my son?" Mr. Callahan didn't answer. He didn't need to. Daniel stepped forward. "I was just trying to help," he said loudly, so everyone would hear. "I want the best for my mother." Oh, the performance. If Oscars were given for fake concern, he'd win. Mr. Callahan began checking rooms, kitchens, medical records, and maintenance logs. The staff stayed calm. Because Willow Gardens wasn't just good, it exceeded state regulations in every category. Better food, better staff, better care. All because I owned it, and I demanded excellence. But Daniel didn't know that. He followed the inspector like a shadow, pointing at tiny things. A scratch on the wall. A TV remote missing a battery. A pillow looks old. He was desperate. Desperate to paint the place as unlivable. Desperate to make himself look like the caring son. But with every complaint, he looked more foolish. The inspector scribbled notes quietly. He wasn't impressed. After the inspection, Mr. Callahan pulled me aside privately. "Mrs. Hayes, I don't understand. This facility is excellent." I nodded. "I know. Then why would your son file such claims?" My throat tightened. "Because he doesn't want me living independently. He wants control over my home, my finances, my belongings." Mr. Callahan sighed heavily. "You're not the first case. Sadly, elder financial manipulation is rising." I breathed shakily. "Am I in danger, Mr. Callahan?" He looked directly into my eyes. "Not while you're here. This building is secure. And you have rights. If you need help, you call me directly." He handed me his card. A lifeline. When the inspector left, Daniel finally turned to me. His expression wasn't loving, not relieved, but angry. "Mom, what did you tell him?" "Nothing but the truth," I said softly. He clenched his jaw. "You're making this difficult." I stared at him, seeing a side of him I never knew existed. "How am I making this difficult, Daniel?" He didn't answer. He stepped closer, voice low. "You can't stay here forever. The house is too big for you alone. If you move out permanently, it solves a lot of problems." There it was again. Problems. I wasn't a person to him. I was a problem. That night, after Daniel left, something inside me broke. I sat in my bed and cried silently. Not because of the nursing home. Not because of my age. But because the baby I carried for 9 months, the boy I raised alone after his father died, was treating me like a burden. A liability. An obstacle. It hurt more than any illness ever could. Lily, the nurse, walked in quietly and saw me crying. She sat beside me and held my hand. "You don't deserve this. Not after everything you've given him." I leaned into her shoulder. "I keep asking myself where I went wrong." She whispered. "You didn't go wrong. He did." And somehow, those words stitched a small piece of my heart back together. Later that evening, the director knocked softly. "Mrs. Hayes, I think you should know something." She sat across from me, her expression serious. "Your son called the office yesterday, before the inspector came." I froze. "What did he ask?" She hesitated. "He wanted to know who owned the building. When we refused to give him that information, he got angry." My pulse quickened. "So he suspects something." "Yes. He's digging." My breath shook. "And if he finds out?" The director leaned forward. "Mrs. Hayes, you have legal authority. Your ownership is protected. But Daniel? He might try something, emotional pressure, manipulation, claims of incompetence." I felt my hands trembling. "Will he try to have me declared incapable of managing my own life?" The director didn't answer. Which was the answer? I sat alone for a long time after she left. Then a thought whispered in my mind. If Daniel wants to see me as weak, as helpless, as someone who can't care for herself, maybe I could use that. Maybe I could let him think I was fragile, confused, easily pressured. If he believed that, maybe he would reveal his full truth. his full intentions. And then, I could show him who he was really dealing with, the woman who owned not just this nursing home, but the entire future he was trying to control. A slow, calculated plan began forming. Something bold, something risky, but necessary. For the first time in days, I felt in control. The next morning, Lily knocked on my door. "Mrs. Hayes? Someone is here to see you." I expected Daniel, but instead, a woman walked in. Tall, elegant, with sharp eyes that studied everything. "Mrs. Hayes," she said warmly, "my name is Rachel Monroe. I'm Daniel's lawyer." My heart sank. Why would my son's lawyer visit me? Rachel sat down smoothly. "Your son asked me to check on you, to make sure you're settling in." Her expression didn't match her words. There was something else behind her visit. A hidden motive. A plan in motion. And I felt suddenly cold. Something was coming. Something big. Something that could either break me or force the truth into the light. Rachel Monroe sat across from me with a polite smile, but her eyes were scanning everything, my hands, my posture, my reactions. She wasn't here for a friendly visit. She was assessing me. "Mrs. Hayes," she said smoothly, "Daniel is worried. He thinks you're overwhelmed living alone, and that this nursing home is the safest option." I smiled gently. "Is that so?" Rachel nodded. "Yes. He wants what's best for you." But her tone told me otherwise. Professionals like her didn't make house calls unless something bigger was planned. Rachel pulled out a notepad. "I just need to ask a few questions. It's standard for elderly care." Standard? No. This was an evaluation. A competency test. To see if I was mentally sound. To see if Daniel could legally take control of my decisions. I kept my voice calm. "Go ahead, dear," she began. "What year is it? Who is the current president? What's your date of birth? Do you know where you are?" Her tone was soft, but she watched me like a hawk. I answered every question perfectly, but I purposely took a little longer on a few, pretending to think. I needed her to believe I was not weak, not strong, but just vulnerable enough to underestimate. Rachel closed her notebook and forced another smile. "Mrs. Hayes, everything seems all right." She stood up to leave, but then she said something she didn't mean to. "Once we finalize Daniel's request, once everything is in place, you won't have to worry about paperwork anymore." I raised an eyebrow. "Daniel's request?" She froze. It was subtle, but I caught it. "Oh, just a formality. Nothing important," she added quickly. But I knew. Daniel had already taken the first legal steps to claim control over my assets, decisions, and possibly even my home. Without telling me. My heart ached, not from fear, but from heartbreak. As soon as Rachel left, I went to the director's office. "Did my son request a competency review?" The director hesitated. "Ma'am, we received a message. His lawyer said you've been confused lately." Confused? Confused was code. A dangerous code. If he proved I was mentally declining, he could gain power of attorney. Control of my finances. Control of my property. Control of my life. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. "So Daniel wants legal authority over me," I whispered. The director nodded sadly. "I'm afraid so." That night, alone in my room, I thought about the past. Daniel's father, my husband, died when Daniel was only 10. From that moment, I worked multiple jobs, sold jewelry, took night shifts, all to give Daniel a good life, a good education, a safe home, a future. And now, that same boy wanted to legally take away my freedom? Tears streamed down my face, not because I felt powerless, but because I had never felt so betrayed. Lily found me sitting in the dark. "Mrs. Hayes, what's wrong?" "My son," I choked out. "He wants to legally control everything I own." She sat beside me, eyes furious. "That's elder manipulation. You don't have to let him do this to you." I wiped my tears. "I know, sweetheart. But I need to see his plan, all of it. Only then can I stop him." She took my hands. "You're stronger than he thinks." Her faith in me gave me strength I didn't know I still had. The next morning, Daniel returned. He didn't bring flowers, or apologies, or love. He brought papers. "Mom," he said firmly, "I need you to sign these. They're just for your safety, so I can manage things for you. Power of attorney. Full control." I looked directly into his eyes. "Honey, what's the rush?" He grew impatient. "Mom, you're not young anymore. You need help. And I'm trying to do what's best." "Best for whom?" I took the papers slowly, my hands trembling not from age, but from anger. "Do you think I'm incapable of making decisions?" He avoided the question. "Just sign them, Mom. Just sign them." Like my life was a contract he wanted to own. I didn't answer. The silence stretched. Daniel sighed loudly. "Mom, don't make this harder. I'm trying to help you." Help? No. He was trying to gain control of my house, my finances, my freedom. When I didn't respond, he snapped. "Fine. Think about it. I'll be back tomorrow." And he left frustrated, annoyed, as if I was the problem. As the door closed, Lily rushed in. "Mrs. Hayes, everything he said was recorded. The hallway camera caught it all." I exhaled. Good. Let him dig his own grave. That evening, the director gathered the key staff. "Mrs. Hayes, we're here to support you." The lawyer reviewed the footage. The inspector was notified. The director prepared legal documents to protect me. Everyone stood with me. Not because I owned the building, but because they knew I was being wronged. And now, we had evidence. But I needed more. I needed Daniel to show his full hand. I needed him to reveal his true intentions completely. Because only then could I confront him not just as his mother, but as the woman who owned every inch of the world he tried to take. The next morning, Daniel stormed into Willow Gardens. Not calmly. Not gently. He barged in like he owned the place. "Where's my mother?" he snapped at the front desk. The staff didn't flinch. "Sir, please lower your voice. Residents need a calm environment." Daniel scoffed. "Calm? My mother is being manipulated here." Manipulated? The irony almost made me laugh. I stepped into the hallway, watching him lose control. He turned toward me sharply. "Mom, you didn't sign the papers." "Why?" I kept my voice steady. "I'm not ready." He clenched his fists. "You're being stubborn. You don't understand what's happening." "Oh, sweetheart," I said softly, "I understand much more than you think." His eyes narrowed. He didn't like that. Daniel looked exhausted. Dark circles. Messy shirt. Hair uncombed. Not from worry. From panic. "What's going on, Daniel?" I asked gently. He ran a hand through his hair. "Mom, I can't do this. I can't keep living like this. I need. He stopped. But it was too late. He said too much. Living like what, darling? He swallowed hard. Nothing. Forget it. But I already knew. Something was very, very wrong. Daniel stepped outside to answer a phone call. Lily rushed to my side. Mrs. Hayes, you need to hear this. She pulled out her phone. There was a voicemail, accidentally recorded earlier, when Daniel had called the director's office and didn't hang up properly. We hit play. A woman's voice was yelling, "Daniel, the bank called again. We're 2 months behind. If we don't pay by Friday, they're freezing our accounts." Daniel's voice. "I know. I'm trying. Once Mom signs the papers, we're saved." Saved. Not me. Him. The blood in my veins ran cold. Daniel continued. "She has a big house, investments, life insurance, everything. I just need power of attorney. Then we're clear. Clear. My son, my only son, was drowning in debt. And he was trying to use me as a life raft." Daniel walked back inside, pretending nothing happened. I looked at him, really looked at him, and my heart cracked. Not because of the debt. Financial mistakes happen. But because he tried to save himself by taking everything from me. "Daniel," I whispered, "what debt are you hiding?" His whole body stiffened. What debt?" "Mom, I don't." I heard the voicemail. Color drained from his face. I can explain." He couldn't. He didn't even know where to start. Daniel finally broke. The anger, the frustration, the fear, it all came flooding out. "Mom, I didn't want it to be like this. The business failed, the mortgage doubled, the credit cards, I'm drowning." Tears filled his eyes. "So instead of asking for help," I said softly, "you tried to take control of my life? My home? My money?" He wiped his face angrily. "You weren't listening. You always think you know best." I thought, maybe if you were in a home, things would be easier. Easier. Easier for who, Daniel? I whispered. He looked away. Me. Hearing that shattered something inside me. The director approached calmly. "Mr. Hayes, we recorded your conversation earlier today, and we reviewed the voicemail you left by mistake." Daniel froze. "You what?" "We are mandated by state law to protect our residents, especially from financial coercion." His face twisted. "This is ridiculous. She's my mother." "Yes," the director said gently, "and that's why this is so heartbreaking." Daniel panicked. He grabbed the power of attorney papers off the table, shoved them toward me. "Mom, please. I'm begging you. If you don't sign this, I lose my house." "Daniel," I whispered, "you almost made me lose my dignity." He shook his head violently. "I don't care about the nursing home. I don't care about anything. I just need money. Please. Sign it." And then he said the words that cut the deepest. "You owe me. I'm your son." I closed my eyes. "No, Daniel. You owe yourself responsibility, not me." Daniel snapped. "You know what? Fine. Live here, rot here. Don't expect me to come back." He grabbed his coat, stormed toward the door. And that's when the director pressed a button. A security officer blocked his exit. "This is a senior facility," the director said gently. "We can't allow threats or emotional harm to residents." Daniel spun around. "You're all insane." "No," the director replied. "We're just protecting a woman who deserves far better." Daniel stared at me, breathing hard. For the first time ever, I saw a stranger in my son's eyes. He didn't hug me. He didn't apologize. He turned and walked out, his footsteps echoing like a closing door. My heart hurt, but my mind was clear. This wasn't the end. This was the moment everything changed. Because Daniel had no idea that the woman he tried to control owned the very roof he thought he was rescuing her from. And soon, very soon, he would learn the truth that would shake his world apart. When I walked out of that nursing home office, everyone stared at me. Some were shocked, some were confused, and some even smiled like they already knew. And as I walked down the hallway, I felt lighter than I had in years. For the first time since my son threw me here, I finally remembered who I used to be: someone strong, someone respected, someone who didn't need pity or permission to live. But I also knew one thing: the truth was about to explode in my son's face. I stepped outside, and there he was, Ben, pacing back and forth, like a child who knew he had messed up but didn't know how to fix it. When he saw me, he ran toward me. "Mom, I didn't know," he stuttered. "I didn't know the building was yours. I didn't know the donations, the upgrades, everything. You paid for all of it." I looked him straight in the eyes and said softly, "You didn't know because you never asked." He froze. For the first time, he had no excuse. Then, the nursing home administrator walked out behind me. "Sir," she said to my son, "your mother has requested that she remain here. She wants her own space, her peace, and she wants time." Ben blinked like those words hurt more than any punishment. "Mom, you're staying here? After I dumped you here like trash?" I whispered, "Yes. Because here, people respect me more than my own son did." He opened his mouth, but no words came out. For a moment, I saw guilt hit him so hard that he actually took a step back. Then the administrator added, "And she also requested that you and your wife are not allowed to enter the building without her written permission." His head snapped toward her, shocked. "What? She banned us?" I nodded. "You need to learn what I went through. You need to feel what it's like when someone pushes you out of a life you built." Ben started crying. Not loud, but quietly. The way a grown man cries when he realizes he has truly lost something precious. That evening, I sat in the home's garden. Birds were picking at the grass, the wind was soft, and for the first time in a very long time, I wasn't scared of the future. Then my nurse walked up to me and whispered, "Ma'am, your son has been waiting outside the gate for an hour." I sighed. Let him wait. But after another hour passed, I finally walked out. Ben was sitting on the curb, hands over his face, shaking. When he saw me, he stood up immediately. "Mom, please. Just hear me out. I don't want your money. I don't care about the building. He swallowed. I just want you back. I want my mom back." His voice cracked. "Why now?" I asked quietly. "Why didn't you want your mom when I was in your house?" He hesitated, then whispered, "I was stressed. Bills, pressure. I listened to people I shouldn't have. I became the kind of man you didn't raise me to be." That hurt. Because he was right. I stared at him for a long moment. Then I said, "You will earn your way back into my life. Not through words, but through actions." He nodded quickly. "Anything, Mom." I turned around to walk back in, expecting the conversation to end. But then something small, something almost invisible, made me stop. He whispered behind me, "I love you, Mom. I'm sorry. The truth is, Those words were all I ever wanted. I didn't turn back. But I smiled. The next few months became a slow healing process. Ben visited every week, sitting outside the gate because he didn't want to break my boundaries. He brought flowers. He brought my favorite cookies. He brought letters he wrote by hand because he didn't want to text something so important. Every letter said the same thing: I'm learning. I'm changing. I'm trying. And gradually, the wall around my heart began to soften. One morning, I walked to the front office and told the administrator, remove the ban. Let my son visit. When I called him to tell him the news, he cried again, but this time, it was relief. On Thanksgiving, I invited him to dinner inside the nursing home's dining hall. He walked in slowly, like he was stepping into a holy place he didn't deserve to enter. I stood up when he approached. He held my hands gently and whispered, "Thank you, Mom, for giving me another chance." I smiled. "Don't waste it." We sat, ate, talked, laughed. For the first time in years, it felt like family again. Not perfect, not fixed, but healing. And sometimes, that's enough. In the end, the biggest twist wasn't that I owned the whole nursing home. The real twist was that my son finally learned what most people learn too late. A mother's heart can break, but it can also forgive. And as I looked at him across the table that night, I knew one thing. He didn't just get his mother back. He earned her back.